Republican Conference. Ms. McClain is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you all for being here today. I appreciate it. I want to start with Mr. Cascarilla. I want to understand and explore more. Many stablecoin issuers, including Paxos, have set up operations in foreign jurisdictions. Why did you decide to make that decision to set up additional operations abroad? What was the thought process behind that?
There's a number of different reasons. I think the first important one is those jurisdictions had a clear set of rules. You had the clarity, the consistency, and the certainty to be able to invest for a long period of time. We have operated out of Singapore for over 10 years, so we've been there for quite a long period of time, and the Monetary Authority of Singapore is a very credible regulator. At the same time, there wasn't a federal framework to be able to operate inside the U.S., and as well-intentioned as the New York Department of Financial Services has been, it's still a state regulator, and in order to be able to operate on a global basis, you need to be able to have, I think, a federal framework.
Thank you. And in your view, what would happen if we fail to enact a federal framework?
Well, I think you're ceding leadership and potentially ceding the position of the dollar as a world reserve currency.
Interesting, thank you. Mr. Colson, how are small businesses and entrepreneurs using stablecoin to facilitate more international operations?
We sometimes discuss an idea at Stripe, the micro multinational, in that if you employ 10,000 or 100,000 people, it's possible to serve 100 markets or something like that. But as a much smaller business or a business just getting started, that's much more difficult. And so I think part of the promise of stablecoins is that for those businesses that are just getting off the ground, it enables them to serve a global audience from day one, and that can multiply their market and thus their revenue quite significantly.
Which is a good thing, yeah. Ms. Butler, BNY is one of the world's largest custodians. It is essential that the Reserve Bank backing stablecoins are secure and transparent. Can you describe how BNY Mellon keeps the stablecoin reserves that it manages safe and that is fully able to meet all of the redemption requests at any time?
Thank you very much, Congresswoman, for your question. So we are the custodian of the reserve, and as such, we apply long-standing custody practices around asset safety, so similar to what we do for the 52 trillion of assets we have under custody. We are not the reserve manager of the reserve itself. That is held by either the stablecoin issuer or a separate reserve manager.
Okay. Is there a concern on meeting redemption requests, or do you feel there's enough regulation around that and how the system is set up?
So we support the proposals in the bill to make sure that there is the right safeguards on how you manage the reserves, what assets are in the reserves, how you disclose them, and ensuring that there is regular audits on those reserves.
Transparency is good then. Yes, it's good. Mr. Gunn, it is my understanding that Stable Act establishes a federal floor, right, of requirements that all payment stablecoin issuers must meet in order to issue in the United States. So I think that floor is extremely important. Can you explain in layman's terms why it is important to ensure that regulatory framework for payment stablecoin establishes a baseline across state and federal jurisdictions?
Sure. So basically, having a federal floor creates uniformity across the United States and across different stablecoin issuers. And I think that's important so that it'll be easy to compare and say everybody is subject to the same standards. There could be some disuniformity, but only by increasing the standards from state to state.
So it provides a level playing field. It's easier to operate, to do business, to figure out how to function if I'm a...
Much easier to understand, too, and apply, yes.
Okay, thank you. And last question, if I can, Mr. Cascarilla, there is a tremendous concern about the use of digital assets in money laundering. How can stablecoins be used to reduce illicit financial transactions, and what protections are included in the Stablecoin Act to inhibit nefarious financial actors? In
try to be
essence, keep out the bad actors.
Yeah, I'll try to be fast. There are requirements for AML, KYC, and BSA. And then secondly, because it's on a blockchain, it's a forever ledger. You're always able to track movements. And so you can now use different tools to be able to understand how illicit activity is happening.
Very good. With that, I'm over time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.